So hello everyone, welcome back to another brand new Google Cloud YouTube videos, and in today's video we'll be learning about Google Cloud App Engine. This was the first service in Google Cloud which Google actually released as their cloud service. So in today's session I have prepared a couple of slides for you, and these are the agenda for today. So basically we want to learn first of all what is Google App Engine, how does it help, and things like that. At the end I'm gonna talk about also permission issues, because if you're not familiar with service account roles and things like that, this might be a hair pulling issue, kind of like basically you're gonna pull over here because you can't fix the permission issues, right? Don't worry about it. And in this video I have added the chapters, so if you don't want to go through the whole video you can actually jump onto the particular section that you are interested in. What is actually App Engine? So App Engine basically a platform as a service, and now you're gonna ask like what is platform as a service? We're gonna talk about it. Just hold on a second. So now here I have a diagram where you can see basically whose responsibilities are what. So basically vendors and customers. So everything actually you see on the cloud, so there are like two different kinds of responsibilities. So vendors responsibilities and customers responsibilities. So we call it like shared responsibility model, right? So in here you can see the runtime, middleware, OS, virtualization, hardware, everything else actually is managed by cloud vendors, and the application and this data is basically managed by the customer. So for example, you have your application, right, and you have got data, right, user registered to your service or whatever it is, right, whatever data you have like financial transaction or whatever it is. So it's basically managed by you, and also your application has to be like application security, for example, is also your responsibility, not vendor's responsibility. Everything else actually that needs to run your application is basically vendor's responsibility. So this is what is platform as a service. The servers are actually abstracted away from customers, and this responsibility is actually shifted onto the customer's table. So you only take care of your application and rest is basically managed by the vendor. So this is what is PaaS, and above all is a serverless service, meaning that you do not have to manage any kind of servers to run your application. So traditionally we need to create a virtual machine, and on top of that, right, we need some container runtime to run our application if you want to run the application on a container, right? So in here you don't have to do anything like that. You just bring your code, run your application, and do the minimal, for example, how many requests concurrently you can actually your application can serve, how many minimum instances and the maximum instances should be running to serve your application, to serve the user request and things like that, right? And you're gonna pay by the runtime, meaning that when your application is idle, you are not going to pay for the compute, right? When I actually talk about App Engine, I actually show one picture to everyone. So which is this? This is the blog from Google Cloud, and it actually explains everything pretty much detail in this picture. So what it means is basically a fully managed serverless platform where you can build and deploy your low latency, highly scalable applications, meaning that let's say you have an application and you get a lot of on-demand requests, let's say thousands of requests. So you need to provision the underlying containers or the VM, whatever it is, right, to cope with the request. So what it does, App Engine takes care of everything for you. You just need to build your application, nothing else you need to care about. So what it supports multiple languages, so you can write your application in Python, Node.js, and other popular languages. You can also actually split traffic to different versions of your application, and this also gives you the endpoint in HTTPS. So basically once you deploy the service, it's gonna give you the HTTPS endpoint, so you do not have to pay for the SSL certificates and all those stuffs, right? And how does it work? So you basically write your code, and you need to have the app.yaml in your source code, right? And I'm gonna show it to you. You do not have to actually worry. Just I wanted to show you what you require to run your application, and then you run zcloud add deploy, and App Engine will do the rest for you. There are two different engine types. One is standard, the other one is flex. So I'm not gonna go through the details about this because I'm going to drop you the blog link in the video description so that you can actually go through them, because I wanted to keep the video short. So what you could do, you can actually build your monolith application. At this point, you cannot bring your microservices application. The modern web application and mobile backends, this is a great platform. Yes, you got a pretty good idea about it. And here is a blog. It tells you pretty much everything. Alright, so today we plan to deploy a very simple Hello World Django application that I prepared for this video. So let me first show you how this works. So this is the project and I call it web app. As you can see, this project actually has only one app right now, which we call YouTube. And if you're not familiar with Django, it's absolutely fine. You don't have to really know. I might make video about Django in the future. So for now, I'm gonna give you the heads up so that you understand what is happening. So here I have got view app, and here I have got home, and in here actually as a response I get hello viewers, we are testing how traffic is split. So basically we get this as a response, right? And in the URL I have said, hey, you basically, when I go to the root of my project, so I'm gonna actually render basically the home. So what I have in here as a response. You don't have to know much more, and here is the requirements.txt file. As you can see, I'm using Python 3.9 and this is the latest version of Django at the time of writing this code. And in my settings I have hard-coded secrets. As you can see, I'm gonna actually use secret manager. So for the time being I don't really care because this is just a tutorial video and debug is true. In development you can use true, but in production you should never use it. I'm gonna make more videos and gonna use this project. Gonna use also database. So right now I do not have any database, as you can see. So this is basically a work in process. So as we progress in making more videos for this channel, I'm gonna actually build up more feature. Alright, and here is the project level URLs, and here you can see if I go to home, I'm gonna end up right here, home, because that's what I said right here, and is basically the same thing. So if I even go to the root of my endpoint, HTTP endpoint, so basically the home page, let's call it that way, so I'm gonna still end up to the same page. That's the only thing you need to know. Let me show you how this works. So I'm gonna say Python. I did not basically do anything so far. So let me show you. So I'm gonna say manage.py. I'm not in the right directory. Let me go to the right directory, Django, and I think there is also inside it something. Alright, cool. So here I've got manage.py. I'm gonna talk about just in a second about main.py. So as you can see, there is app.yaml, main.py. So I'm gonna talk about them just in a second. So let me show you how it looks like. So Python, and Python we are talking about 3.9 and manage.py, and I'm gonna say run server. It might take a second or so. So here I'm gonna browse to this page. So once I browse to this page, I get in response, hello viewers, we are testing how. So this is exactly I have in my HTTP response, right? So now I talked about URLs, right? So this is basically at the root. So basically I did not pass /home. So if I even go to /home, it's gonna give me the same thing, right? Alright, so this is what is about the application. And this application we're gonna deploy to Google App Engine. Alright, so to deploy this, we need to make a couple of changes. So first of all, what we have to do is basically we need to create main.py file. That's what I have created, and what I have actually here is this. So I'm actually importing from my web app dot, if I go here, I have got this one, the web server gateway interface, right? And from here I'm actually importing the application. So it's basically this. Let's get back to main.py file, and I'm creating app object out of it. The reason actually we have to do it is because App Engine by default looks for a main.py file at the root of the app directory, right? And here we have got main.py. And this is what it's going to look for, and therefore we need to actually create this one. Second thing, what we want to do, let me kill this instance, okay? what we have to do, we need to create app.yaml, which is what I have already created, and what I have inside it is basically runtime. So you have to say if your application is using Node.js, you're gonna say Node.js here. If it is Java, you're gonna say Java. If something else, then you're gonna say that particular runtime. So in my case, the runtime is Python 3.9, right? So let's say if I don't call my service like this, as you can see here, if I don't call it, by default, the service name is going to be default. And this is something actually I'm going to show you in the next video that I plan to make. Next, you don't really need anything if you don't really want. You can just get rid of everything and you can just only say runtime. So basically the runtime is going to be Python 3.9 and blah blah. So in the basic scaling, this is what I'm not going to show you right now. I will actually ignore it for this video. I have said, hey, you create at any given time only one instance, and if I do not get any user request, basically any incoming request by the user to my service within a minute, you should actually shut down the instance, meaning that I want to cut down the cost, right? By default, this is 5 minutes. Everything looks good. We can run our application. Pip file is not supported. Therefore, actually, I removed the pip file. I created instead requirements.txt. As you can see, we are not making a Docker image and we are not deploying that particular Docker image to App Engine. Instead, what we're gonna do, we're gonna basically take our source code. So we basically bring our own code and we run the application on the App Engine platform. Okay, so that's what we are doing right now. By the way, before I forget, I also wanted to let you know I created a repository called Tech with Pfizer on my GitHub account, even though I am not active in GitHub, but I was thinking this might be very convenient for the people who actually want to follow up with the code. So therefore I created this repository and I made it public, and here is the source code already. So you can go ahead and fork it if you want to, right? And you can play with this code, right? And if you want to contribute to this repository, feel free to pull request. Okay, thank you very much, and let's get back to where we were. Alright, so let us see how to deploy our very first Django app on Google App Engine. So first of all, you need to make sure you have got gcloud installed on your system, and after that you can say app. So app is the command that you need to actually run to deploy or to create or to update services deployed on Google App Engine, and then you have to say create. Okay, so that's the first thing you have to do. This is what I have done already, so you have to do this one. After that, what you have to do, you have to say deploy. Once you run this deploy, you need to make sure that your app.yaml file is actually on the directory where you basically run this command. Okay, so if I just run this command, it's going to deploy my application to Google App Engine, and is going to prompt for this. It's gonna say, well, this is the service account and this is the source of your code, and here is the YAML file, and this is the target project where the application is going to be deployed, right? And this is going to be the version of the application, and the service, as I said, if you don't call a name like this, then is going to be called by default, and then this is going to be the target URL, and it comes with the HTTP endpoints, right? And just say yes. And I actually deployed it a couple of days before. That's why it says uploading 0 files. So what it does, actually, it will take everything and going to upload all of your codes to Google Cloud Storage. So it doesn't take time, and it's gonna be pretty quick, I would say. So once this is deployed, it's gonna tell you what kind of commands actually should run to verify if the deployment went successfully. So I'm gonna pause for a second. Once this deployment is done successfully, I will come back. Alright, if you look at the console output, you can see the deployment was successful, and it tells you, hey, if you run this command, as we know this was the version of our application, so if you run this, it says that this version was stopped and this is the version URL for this. It gives you quite a lot of information, and it tells you about the environment standard. And there are like flexible and standard, two different environments. And I'm going to actually show you what are the options actually by default chosen by App Engine Engine. This is why I actually did not, in my first video, I did not actually write this because I wanted to show you what are the default options instead of me talking, right? So now we have it, and let's go to the browser. I'm on my browser. If you come to the services, you're gonna see the services you have deployed on App Engine. So I have got only one. I had another one I deleted, and you can see there are 4 different versions. And if you look at here, it's internal. So what will happen now if I just click here? The page is not found because I said internal, because the ingress actually is internal, so I did not expose my service to the public. So first of all, to be able to do so, you need to actually edit this. So let's go to ingress settings, and here allow all traffic. If you have a load balancer, you can also choose this. Maybe I will show it to you in another video, but for this video I'm going to show you allow all traffic. Save it. So as you can see, I have got 4 different versions of the same application, and here you can see the runtimes, and you can see how many instances are there, and the environment and size of my application code, right? And service account, who deployed this, blah blah. And what I actually want to show you is basically this. So if I want to go to the view config, click on view config, and this is what you're gonna see. And environment is standard, and handlers is automatically actually chosen for you. And basic scaling, as I said, this was a customized one, 60 seconds and max one, and it also gives a service account. See, these are the default YAML configuration. So this has been stopped. There is only one version running, so it's actually serving 100% of the traffic. Interesting. Okay, one thing I want to show you just in a second is basically the instances. One instances that actually serves the traffic and things like that, but since we actually said is now should be allowed, let's see what happens. So I should be able to see the page. Now actually I am able to see the page, right? Look at this. So one thing I'm going to do now is basically now it's actually serving 100% traffic. Now what we want to do, we want to split the into 50-50 basically. So 50% here, 50% should go here. So in this version, what I'm gonna do, first of all, if you want to split the traffic, you need to start this. I want to start this. So I have got 2 versions of my application, right? So let's go to the versions, and you can see still is serving 100% traffic. This one is serving 0% traffic. So what we want to do, we want to basically say to this one, hey, you split traffic. So you split traffic, what I want to say, 50% traffic you split between yourself, right? And you can choose actually split traffic by cookies, random, IP addresses. So let's say IP addresses for the time being. So the first request should go to this one, second request should go to this one, and things like that. So to see the changes, hello viewers, a simple web page, I need to check what I had actually in my view.py file. Okay, so what we're gonna do, a modified message. Let's do this deploy one more time. So now actually the changes going to be visible to you once we deploy new versions. You can actually see this right here. So what is gonna happen after this actually? Okay, let me pause for a second and then I'm gonna come back. So now deployment went successfully, and let's go back to this page and see what happens. So if we go to versions, you can see 3 different versions are active currently, and we have got only 1 instance here, right? And this one is actually serving 100% request, but none of it. So what we're gonna do, we're going to stop this version. Let's say we want to stop this version, and then this version we want to split traffic, right? So we want to distribute traffic 50-50. Okay, so now we are going to do a test. Let's do this, and it's 50-50. So now let's go back to the endpoint and refresh the page. And you can also, you don't need to actually disable the cache. You don't really need to. To be honest, it will just work. So I have got disable cache and retry. So I should see the message from a modified version. So this was the latest version of my deployment. So this was this version, and the previous version actually had only until the message, right? So hello viewers, a simple web service. So this is how actually you can distribute traffic. So now I'm going to show you a couple of other things. For example, if you go to settings, you can see there are like custom domains. So if you want to map domain or register to a new domain, you can do so. For example, add a domain, and you have to do your domain, right? Let's say xyz.com, and you want to verify. So after that, you would be able to like point the App Engine DNS to your DNS, basically to your domain. I do not own a domain at this point. I cannot show it to you, but this is the place from where you can do the custom settings. And I'm gonna make more videos about it, and there are also firewalls thing. By default, everyone is allowed. As you can see, you can also create roles. Let's say if you want to allow only particular IP, let's say you want to allow only your particular IP, let's say your IP, nothing else, you can also create roles here. I'm gonna make more videos about it, and going through firewalls, memcache, hopefully security scans, cron jobs. I will make 2 more videos hopefully about App Engine. So for today's video, I think this is enough. You get the idea how this service is actually deployed, and how easy it is for you to work with your application if you want to basically get a serverless service, right? Where you do not have to maintain any underlying servers. The vendors get to provision the underlying machines based on the on-demand request, right? So I hope you find this video useful. If so, give it a thumbs up, and thank you very much, and see you in the next one. Bye bye. So I'm actually going to show you right from here in the documentation. So if you go through this documentation, it tells you how to actually give access, right? And let's say how to create an app engine using a service account. This is the command you need to run. And here you can also update. This is the update command by using a particular service account. And look at here, the one actually I wanted to talk about is this one. So auto created app export, it has the editor role in the project. So if you deploy your App Engine app using the auto created project ID, your app can access all resources in the project. How can we actually validate if we have the right permission? So first of all, you need to go to service accounts, IAM, and then from here you go to service accounts. Where is service accounts? Right here. And the one actually it talked about is basically, let me select this, is basically this one. So never ever delete this one. If you delete, you will be in trouble. So this is the default service account, and it has the editor permission. Make sure that you have enabled. And how can you enable is basically once you go to this API and services, and right here if you go to library and search for App Engine right here, and if you click for App Engine is going to, because I enabled mine, so once you enable these, you should be able to see this role. So basically if you come back here, you are going to see this, okay? So if you did not enable, the App Engine is not going to be available right here. So this is how you can fix all the permission issues. Let me show you this one, because this is going to answer your queries. So basically cloud storage. So as I said, when I deployed our application, we talked about buckets, right? We said that the artifacts are actually stored on Google Cloud Storage, and these buckets actually see 1, 2, 3. These 3 buckets I did not create, because I had that permission that we have just seen a while ago. So due to that service account permission, this was able to create resources in Google Cloud Storage. So this is what all you need to resolve any permission issues. If you have still permission issues, let me know in the comment section. I will try to help you out. Thank you very much.